Hello and welcome to This Day in History for November 20th. November 20th is the 324th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 41 days remaining until the end of the year. And today we're going to go all the way back to the year 284, when Diocletian was chosen as the Roman emperor. Diocletian's rule saw some successes and some failures. Overall, Diocletian's reforms fundamentally changed the structure of Roman imperial government and helped stabilize the empire economically and militarily, enabling the empire to remain essentially intact for another 150 years despite being near the brink of collapse in Diocletian's youth. Weakened by illness, Diocletian left the imperial office in May of 305 and actually became the first Roman emperor to leave office voluntarily. He lived out his retirement in his palace on the Dalmatian coast, tending to his vegetable gardens. He was 66 when he died in 311. In 1789, New Jersey became the first U.S. state to ratify the Bill of Rights. In 1805, Beethoven's only opera, Fidelio, premiered in Vienna. In 1820, an American vessel was sunk by a sperm whale. The American whaler Essex, which hailed from Nantucket, Massachusetts, was attacked by an 80-ton sperm whale. It says 2,000 miles from the western coast of South America. That would put it in the Pacific Ocean. Of course, they were hunting sperm whales, so... Herman Melville's classic novel Moby Dick was inspired in part by the story of the Essex. In 1866, Kenesaw Mountain Landis, American lawyer and judge, was born on this day, November 20th of 1866. Besides being a lawyer and a judge, he also was the first commissioner of baseball from 1920 until his death. He's remembered for his handling of the Black Sox scandal, in which he expelled 8 members of the Chicago White Sox from organized baseball for conspiring to lose the 1919 World Series and repeatedly refused their reinstatement requests. His firm actions and iron rule over baseball in the near quarter century of his commissionership are generally credited with restoring public confidence in the game. He died in 1944 at the age of 78. So see, you not only get just what happened on this day in history, you also get a little biographical sketch sometimes. In 1903, a fellow named Tom Horn was hanged in Wyoming for the murder of Willie Nickel. On November 20th, 1903, the infamous hired killer Tom Horn was hanged for having allegedly murdered Willie Nickel, a 14-year-old son of a southern Wyoming sheep rancher. Now, Tom Horn was indeed a hired killer. That's what he did for a living, and he was so good at it that most of his victims never even knew what hit him. There is discussion to this day as to whether he actually killed the boy, or if maybe he mistook the boy for his father, if that was his intended victim, or if the jury just knew that's what he did and wanted to get him off the streets, so to speak. In any case, this was the day he was hanged, November 20th, 1903. On this day in 1910, Russian author and playwright Leo Tolstoy died at the age of 82. On this day in 1923, a fellow named Garrett Morgan patented the 3-position traffic signal. On November 20th, 1923, the U.S. Patent Office granted patent number 1475074 to 46-year-old inventor and newspaperman Garrett Morgan for his 3-position traffic signal. Although Morgan's was not the first traffic signal that had been installed in London in 1868, his was an important innovation nonetheless, because by having a 3rd position besides just stop and go, it helped regulate crossing vehicles more safely than earlier signals had. In 1945, the Nuremberg Trials began. 24 high-ranking Nazis went on trial in Nuremberg, Germany for atrocities committed during World War II. And I won't lengthen the video too much by reading this article, but I will put a link in the show notes about a very interesting article of 10 things you may not know about the Nuremberg Trials. If you'd like to see me read that as a video, let me know in the show notes and I'll be happy to do that. But for now, it's just linked in the show notes. 1947, Princess Elizabeth marries Philip Mountbatten. In a lavish ceremony at Westminster Abbey in London, Princess Elizabeth married her distant cousin, Philip Mountbatten, a dashing former Prince of Greece and Denmark who renounced his titles in order to marry the English princess. 1947, American singer-songwriter, guitarist, producer, and actor Joe Walsh was born on this date in 1947. Happy birthday, Joe Walsh. 1962, on this date, the Cuban Missile Crisis ended. In response to the Soviet Union agreeing to remove its missiles from Cuba, U.S. President John F. Kennedy ended the quarantine of the Caribbean nation. 1977, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat became the first Arab leader to officially visit Israel when he met Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and spoke before the Knesset in Jerusalem seeking a permanent peace settlement. I appreciate and admire that kind of behavior. 1982, Cal beats Stanford as band blocks field. On November 20th, 1982, the UC Berkeley football team, referred to as Cal, won an improbable last-second victory over Stanford when they completed 5 lateral passes around members of the Cardinals marching band who had wandered onto the field a bit early to celebrate the upset they were sure their team had won. It scored a touchdown. Don't count your chickens before the eggs hatch. It ain't over till the fat lady sings. 1985, Microsoft Windows 1.0 was released as the first version of the Microsoft Windows line. And this is going to make a short video, but I think we're going to call it a day right here. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. And then, of course, today we have the extra thing about the 10 things you didn't know about Nuremberg. Thanks for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and share the cookies out of this thing. Just share this video all over the place. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. One more time. Annie hears me talking. She's got to come see what's going on. Okay, lay down. That's a good girl. Good girl. Let's do that one again. Okay. All right, let's try it again. Blah, 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 coffee mug. It's late enough in the day that we're off coffee and on fizzy water. Just read the words. Just read the words. That's a lot of words. Hope I pronounced that right. Toil story. Why do I have so much trouble with that name? Are generally credited. That's probably a squirrel. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? She's not a man. Sure would be nice if I could ever read one of these in its entirety without having to start anything over. That would be awesome. I might have to take another look at that. I'm going to have to look at that. This is why I don't do live shows.